Suburban Sentinel here, along with Bella the camera cat, with a follow-up video to the first in a series called The Good Life on the Cheap, or something like that. I can't exactly remember. Anyway, in that first video, I delved into the joys of wet shaving, also known as badger and blade shaving. That is, shaving the old-fashioned way. I received a bunch of private messages from some guys out there looking for additional information on wet shaving. So over the next several weeks, I'll be covering the equipment, the processes, and the techniques for engaging in that most sacred ritual I call wet or badger and blade shaving. And this safety razor here has been safety checked, by the way. I took the blade out of there, so both Bella and I are not injured. So first thing after I get the cat out of the way is we're going to take a look at double-edged safety razors. If you're a total badass and want to use a straight razor, also known as a cutthroat razor, I'll refer you to someone with experience at that. I'm too much of a klutz to ever use a straight razor. So let's get on with it. This is a typical double-edged safety razor, and although they come in different varieties, they all essentially have the same function. A double-edged blade sits inside the razor, and as you're using the razor, you use both sides of the blade to cut your beard down. The reason it's called a safety razor is that the design of the razor itself limits the amount of the blade that's exposed to your skin. So this razor is not loaded right now, but since the cat is temporarily out of the way, let me just show you what the blade looks like. And this is a very typical double-edged safety razor blade. Let me see if I can get that to focus. One single piece of stainless steel, and the edges adjacent to where my fingers are the shaving portion. So let's talk a little bit about the different types of designs or classifications of double-edged safety razors. The first classification is whether the razor is either what's called an open comb model or a solid bar model. And let me put something on the screen that'll help illustrate this better. On the screen in front of you is a typical open comb double-edged safety razor. I hope this is appearing on camera okay, but if you look here, you'll see these teeth along each edge of the razor. Bella is really giving me a hard time today. The teeth are designed to limit the amount of your skin that's exposed to the blade itself. Now, in contrast, there is the straight bar or solid bar design. And let me bring you back. Again, I'm back to my razor, and notice that there are no teeth along either side of the razor. It's just a straight bar or solid bar. Has the same function to limit the amount of the blade exposed to your skin, just different designs. Now, both types of designs, the open comb and the solid bar type, work well. It seems that most people prefer the solid bar type design because this is the most prevalent, but there is a significant population of wet shavers that are open comb diehards. Now, I've used both. I can't really tell the difference between the two in performance. Now, perhaps I'm not enough of a connoisseur, but I only have one razor, and it's the closed bar type, and I find it very satisfactory. I favor the closed bar type for the very practical reason that if you're a klutz like me and prone to dropping things, it would be, in my opinion, easier to damage the razor by bending the teeth on the open comb design. So that's the only reason I prefer the solid bar. I really can't tell the difference in performance, but your mileage may vary. Razors are also classified by the type of mechanism that either holds or gives one access to the blade. Now this particular model is a snap head. So again, very simple, just the head of the razor snaps on and pulls off. It's held together just by press fit. Very simple and very effective, at least in this model. Another very popular type of mechanism is the butterfly or twist to open, often abbreviated in the shaving world as TTO. And that consists of a fine mechanism that opens the head of the razor by twisting the bottom of the handle. And I'll show you one of those a little bit later. There are other types. Some razors come apart in a couple or 3 pieces by removing screws, but none of them are very difficult to disassemble or reassemble, and all work relatively well. So now let's discuss a little bit about how these razors work. Essentially, what you're going to do is take the double-edged razor, and with the benefit of a lubricant on your face, a shaving soap or a shaving gel, is you're going to run the razor over your skin. Simple enough, just like any throwaway razor or cartridge razor, with some differences. First, in these Wonder Shaver throwaway jobs, they often advertise that the razor lifts the hair follicles up and then cuts them. And I think that's one of the big downsides to that type of shaving. It leads to irritation, especially if you have sensitive skin. Old-fashioned wet shaving, you're not trying to take the beard down in one pass. You are, through multiple passes, actually just shaving the beard down a little bit at a time. So most wet shavers do 2 or 3 passes with the same blade every morning. Generally, each pass is done in a different direction. And what I mean by that is your first pass generally goes with the grain of your beard. So it'd be shaving down the side of your face. Most people do a second pass at what's called across the grain, which is either at 45 degrees or 90 degrees to the grain pattern of your beard. And the third pass is generally done either 90 degrees to the opposite direction, and some guys go against the grain. That is, they shave up against the grain of their beard. That could be a little harder in your face, especially if you have a stiff beard. Now let's briefly discuss the 2 most important factors in obtaining a close and irritation-free shave. And what I'm talking about is angle and pressure. I'm not talking about direction, I'm talking about the angle at which you hold the razor relative to your skin. And ideally, you want to keep the razor at about a 30-degree angle to your skin at all times you're shaving. This is kind of hard for beginners to do. The other important factor is pressure, or more precisely, the lack thereof. When you use either a cheap disposable razor or an electric, you're used to having to put pressure on your skin to shave. And if you do that with a double-edged safety razor, you're going to get nicks, cuts, and weeps. The technique is to let the razor, or the pressure and weight of the razor, do the work. You don't ever want to press against your skin. You just want to kind of let the razor drag. Once you get the hang of it, it becomes second nature. And I think that most guys have it down pat within 2 weeks. But within those 2 weeks, expect to get a couple, maybe 3 minor cuts or some irritation as you learn the techniques. So now let's briefly take a look at some other design criteria of double-edged safety razors. The first is what's commonly called aggressiveness, and that is the amount of the blade that's exposed to your skin. Most razors have fixed heads where the amount of the blade exposed to your skin does not change, and some are built more aggressive than others. Those are generally for more advanced shavers or someone who really wants a close shave very consistently. Other razors, like the one in my hand here, are adjustable. I'm not sure this will show up on camera. By turning the handle of the razor, you can change the amount of blade exposure. So this razor is good for both beginners and experts. Another important feature is the handle length. The longer the handle, the more control you have. However, the harder it is to maintain that 30-degree angle to your skin. And this has a kind of a shorter to medium size handle. So it's relatively easy to maintain your blade angle. And the final important design criteria, in my opinion, is the weight. If you have a substantial razor, you won't have to put any pressure on your face for the blade to do its job. If you have a really lightweight razor, you may have to exert a slight amount of pressure. And of course, that is a little bit more difficult. So assuming you'd like to give wet shaving with a double-edged razor a try, what should you get? Well, first thing is I always recommend getting a quality razor. You don't have to necessarily spend a lot of money. So let's talk about that. One of the cheapest ways to find a quality razor is to ask your relatives. There are literally millions upon millions of double-edged razors sitting in medicine cabinets and closets around the country. Most men gave them up. So grandpa, maybe even your father or Uncle Joe probably has a razor sitting somewhere. And these things can last forever unless they've been really abused. Another great resource to look for razors is eBay and websites like that. There are thousands and thousands of razors just about all the time. And I would encourage you to look for a Gillette, because the Gillette company made double-edged safety razors from the early 1900s up until about 1980. So there are a ton of them around, and you can probably get one for between $5 and $20 in fair condition. Oftentimes when you get these things off of eBay, they'll still be caked up with soap scum and all that kind of junk from someone using it. I wouldn't use the razor just as is. First thing I would do is take the razor and put it in boiling water for a few minutes and then scrape it down with an old toothbrush or something, throw it back in the boiling water for a little while till it's clean, and then let it soak in either Barbicide or a 10% bleach solution for at least 10 minutes. Of course, you can always go out and buy a brand new razor, and there's nothing wrong with that. They generally run, popular brands, from $25 to $100. And my two favorite brands for new razors are Edwin Jagger, Jagger. They are built in England, and Merkur, which is, this one's a Merkur, and these are made in Germany. There are some other companies making them, such as Parker, but I don't buy anything made in China or India unless it's absolutely unavoidable. So, and I'm sure there are some other good brands out there, but I just don't know them. But I'll leave a link to some places where you can find them. But you wouldn't go wrong with a Merkur and certainly a Jagger. Another way to go is to either buy or have a double-edged razor refurbished. And I actually bought this one for my wife. Yes, the ladies can get in on this too for shaving their legs and such. My wife actually tried mine for shaving her legs and was so happy with the results. She said she would really like one, but the razor was too big and too heavy. For many years, the Gillette company made a ladies model. And I happened to find one at an estate sale. It was in very rough shape. The mechanism was screwed up and it had a little bit of rust on it. The finish was long gone and it was caked with soap scum. So I paid $2 for it. And I sent it out to these two young guys in Arizona who sell and refurbish razors. And take a look at this thing. See if we can get a close-up. This thing looks like it just came off the production line. These guys did a fantastic job at restoring this razor. It looks brand new. And this razor was made in 1940. And just for size comparison, we'll put the Lady Gillette versus my everyday Merkur. And you can see the length and the diameter of the handle. Much different ball game. But if you wouldn't have known any better, you would imagine this would be brand new. But this razor is over 70 years old. And this happens to be a twist to open model. And if you see here, let me back up a little, all you do is rotate the bottom of the handle and the head pops open. You plop your new blade in there and just twist the handle to close. So I paid $2 for this razor, and I think I spent another 65 or 70, something like that, to have it fully restored. But this will last a lifetime and then some. The job they did was absolutely magnificent. The mechanism works perfectly and the finish is beautiful. And I'll leave a link to their company in the comments section. As a freebie they threw in, they even found a package of Gillette blades from the period, which is kind of a nifty thing. Nice little surprise. So that's our little primer on double-edged safety razors. In the next video, we'll probably go into the blades themselves, which is a whole other topic. So thanks for watching. Questions and enlightening comments are always welcome. This is the Suburban Sentinel along with Bella the Camera Cat. Please hit the thumbs up and subscribe if you like what you see. Until next time, shave safely, everybody.